Alright guys, Tim again. I am here to talk more Star Wars. Today we're going to go over the discourse surrounding the newest show, The Acolyte, and the most common complaint that I'm seeing that's not just hate. I'm not here to entertain there are too many women and colored people in Star Wars bitching and moaning. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm tired of it, quite frankly. I don't care what happens in episode 3 that is so inflammatory that people are freaking out about. I know what it's going to be because I've seen the leaks and I don't care. It's a non-issue. It's something that crybabies have decided to get mad about. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about bad writing. And yes, The Acolyte has its share. There are several lines that fall flat. There are several other lines that don't make sense. And there are several other lines that are placed in weird spots directorially. Strange editing choices. But what if I told you that Star Wars has always been bad? And I love Star Wars. I was a child watching the original ones in the movies. I'm old. Old enough anyway. But it's always been bad. And we've always loved it anyway. And the constant rhetoric online is so tiresome. So anyway, I thought I would go through some historic moments of bad Star Wars writing. Let's go ahead and just do them in theatrical release. I am skipping the animated shows because I didn't watch enough of them to form an opinion, and I've heard that they're mostly good. I will call out the quality when it's there, but I am also here to point out the, in many ways, horrid script writing and atrocious delivery of atrociously written lines. So let's go ahead and start episode 4. And this is more, there are several that I could have chosen instead of this one that fit better as being just really cheeseball. But Obi-Wan talking about only stormtroopers can be so precise, or only stormtroopers are so precise, when for the rest of the entirety of the IP, they have been shown to be absolute clownish buffoons, terrible at their jobs. And I know that that's just a it was the first movie, but that line has rung so poorly for so long since that I can't help but include it. Empire Strikes Back. Again, not a specific line, although there are several. But Luke's whining on Dagobah when Yoda is digging through his stuff and clearly a puppet. One, Mark Hamill was a pretty terrible actor for the early part of his career. And I love the guy. He's fantastic. Phenomenal voice actor. And he's got range now. When he was a kid, he did not. Like, he was hired because he was pretty, and so anyway, his whining was terrible in episode 4. But episode 4 is still, or episode 5 is still a lot of people's favorites. And it had some phenomenal moments, but also some just real cheeseball dialogue. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So wait a minute, you're trying to tell me they're related? Or didn't they make out in the last movie? George, you are a weird dude. And then don't even get me started on the Ewoks. Little primitive Teddy Ruxpin, Cabbage Patch Kid furballs that took on the Empire and won. That battle is one of the most ridiculous things ever. Even as a 7-year-old child, I thought it was ridiculous. I still thought it was neat, but I thought it was ridiculous. So you're probably starting to see a theme here. The OG movies were terrible, but they were also great, and that's what we love about them. The holiday special, oh crap, I didn't even talk about the holiday special. It was just across the board awful. Across the board. Don't even need to talk about it. Chewbacca's parents or grandparents or whatever being perverts and weirdos, yeah, no, just too much. So yeah, let's go ahead and do the prequel trilogy real quick. Do I even need to start with This Is Pod Racing? Anakin, the little boy's lines were just awful. Just awful. And I know that Lucas gears things towards kids, and that's the adult in me. And that's, I think, a lot of the problem with the discourse is we're all growing up and they're still making shows for kids. With the exception of Andor. And maybe a few other bits and pieces that we're going to talk about. Episode 2. Anakin's entire diatribe about sand. Don't even get me started. First off, Hayden Christensen was just as, if not worse, an actor when his career started as Mark Hamill was when he was young. I'll defend him all day now, but he was awful in the prequels. Like, awful. Good times. Episode 3, I have the high ground. You guys, you have the Force and magic fucking plasma swords. The high ground doesn't. Good old Lucas. Gotta love him. Let's go ahead, move on to the new trilogy. So yeah, the prequels were also terrible. They were terrible for different reasons, and they were also great for the same reasons. It's escapist fantasy sci-fi. It's not supposed to be Citizen Kane dialogue. It's not a drama. Anyway, we're watching it for just pure enjoyment. So yeah, there's some silliness and there's some crappiness. But that's Star Wars. So we're just doing A New Hope over again with a girl now? Pretty much. Episode 8 goes on to just absolutely ruin Luke as a character. Every bit of dialogue that Luke had in that one was terrible. But we're gonna look at the blue milk scene in particular, because why they chose to just demean that character in that way just blows my mind. But again, I'm in my 40s. I wasn't gonna get a chuckle laugh out of Blue Peptol being in Master Skywalker's beard. Maybe the kids did. I don't know. The writing has always been bad. And then episode 9, we have the Force dyad. I could have, I guess, mentioned Mary Poppins Leia also, but that's beside the point. We've got the Force dyad. The writing has always been bad. Mandalorian season 1 was pretty damn solid. I don't care for Cara Dune, actress. I can't remember her name. But it's for a similar reason to not caring for the actress from Lost and Fast and the Furious, Michelle Rodriguez. I don't care for actresses who always play strong roles that seem to think that sneering is enough to portray all of the emotion that their characters need to portray. And that is all that actress knows how to do. And that's all Michelle Rodriguez knows how to do also. I just can't get behind that. They have one facial expression and they do it bad. So if I'm gonna point out a problem with Mando season 1, that was it. I couldn't care less about their political beliefs. They're actors. I'm not here for that. But yeah, crazy. Mando season 2 got shakier. And the problem with Mando is it started as a deeply personal episode of the week, father-son sort of story, and then it turned into this giant ensemble cast. And most of the ensemble aren't very well developed. And that gets worse when you get to season 3. Season 3 was just garbage, I thought. There were parts that I liked, But for the most part, almost every cameo in season 3 took me out of the universe entirely, and there were several cameos in season 3. It didn't help that that the first 2 episodes of season 3 of The Mandalorian were in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett, which we'll get to in a minute. But Mando started good and kept getting worse. Obi-Wan was atrocious, in my opinion. There were a handful of moments that were cool. A couple of the Force battles were pretty cool, although they were obviously done in the volume, on a very tiny set. But the kid in a freaking trench coat, the Empire is a joke. And they're supposed to be tyrannical. But it's Star Wars. It's escapist sci-fantasy. We're not here for phenomenal drama. And anyone who pretends to be is just a poser looking for clout. Ahsoka was also pretty solid, I'm not gonna lie. There were some moments, some of Sabine's lines came across pretty flat. That actress I'm a little shaky on. I thought Ezra was really well done. Yeah, so for the most part, Ahsoka was pretty decent. But again, it's escapist sci-fantasy. And then we finally get to the Acolyte. And I know that the people that have their hate-filled issues with what Disney's done, they're going to have their hate-filled issues with what Disney's done. I don't care that more people are playing in our sandbox. I just don't. And more different people are playing in our sandbox. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings any to include others. It just doesn't. The writing, pretty bad though. Pretty bad. Come at me with all of your strength. The fuck talks like that? Like, what? And I know where they're trying to go with it, but my God, some of the dialogue in The Acolyte has been awful so far. And we're only 2 episodes in. Now, some of the rest of it's been pretty good. So, that's, I guess, my main point, if there is any, is that y'all that are worked up for the wrong reasons, about the wrong things, and it will pass. You being mad about Star Wars is going to go away unless you're a grifter. Unless you're mad about Star Wars for a living, you're not going to be mad at Star Wars a year from now, or at least not for the same reasons. Star Wars is one of those things that we have always wanted to be better. But when it is better, Andor, not nearly as many people watch it. They are here, the fans are here, we are here for comfort food television and comfort food movies. And acting like we're here looking for the next evolution in science fiction and some groundbreaking, mind-altering tale. Where did you come from? Like, this is Star Wars. So anyway, keep enjoying Star Wars for what it is. Escapist fantasy. And stay mad if you want to stay mad. That's on you. I'm Tim. I'm glad you came by. Hope to see you again sometime. Take care.